At 4:47 a.m. on January 12, 1912, Frank Morrison stands on 14 inches of ice covering Moosehead Lake, Maine, watching steam rise from his breath into air that reads -22 degrees Fahrenheit. He's 34 years old. 15 winters cutting ice, supervisor of a 40-man crew that will harvest 12,000 tons of ice before March thaw. His leather boots are soaked through. His hands, even in wool-lined gloves, went numb an hour ago. In the next 8 hours, his crew will cut, lift, and load 1,200 blocks of ice. Each weighs 250 pounds. Each must be perfect. One mistake, ice too thin, saw angle wrong, block breaks during the lift, costs money the company won't forgive. And mistakes happen when men work exhausted, cold, and wet. This is the last generation that will do this work. The ice trade in America begins not with winter, but with heat. Summer 1805. Boston merchants watch ships arrive from the Caribbean carrying sugar, rum, molasses. The ships return south, mostly empty. Frederick Tudor, 22, watches this waste and sees opportunity. The Caribbean has no winter, no ice, but it has wealthy plantation owners, hotel operators, hospital administrators who would pay for ice if someone could deliver it. His family thinks he's insane. Ice melts, everyone knows this. You cannot ship a product that disappears. Tudor doesn't care what everyone knows. He buys a brig called the Favorite, loads it with 130 tons of ice cut from his family's pond in Rockwood, insulates the hold with sawdust, hay, wood shavings. Sails for Martinique. The voyage takes 3 weeks. He arrives with 100 tons still frozen, sells it at 50 cents per pound, astronomical profit. But the customers don't know what to do with it. Hotels have no ice boxes. Restaurants have no experience preserving with ice. Most of his product melts unsold in the tropical sun. He tries again, and again, and again. By 1815, Tudor has lost his fortune twice, been thrown in debtor's prison, watched investors abandon him. He keeps sailing, keeps refining his insulation methods, keeps teaching customers how to store and use ice. His persistence pays off. Not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily. By 1820, he's shipping ice to Charleston, Savannah, New Orleans. By 1825, to Havana and Rio de Janeiro. By 1833, to Calcutta, India. A voyage of 4 months that requires ice packed so carefully, insulated so perfectly, that 60% still arrives frozen. The trade explodes. Other merchants join. Competition drives innovation. Demand skyrockets. Hotels want ice. Restaurants need it. Hospitals require it for fever treatment. Meatpackers discover that iced rail cars can ship beef from Chicago to New York without spoilage. Breweries find that ice allows year-round production of lager beer, which requires cold fermentation. Fishing boats pack their catch in ice, extending shelf life from hours to days. America needs ice. Millions of tons. Every winter. The harvest begins in December, when temperatures drop and stay below freezing for weeks. Ice farmers monitor their ponds, lakes, rivers obsessively. They drill test holes daily. Measuring thickness, clear ice is strongest, grows dense and uniform. Snow ice is weaker, formed when snow falls on water and freezes in layers. They need 14 inches minimum. Industry standard for safe harvest. When the ice reaches thickness, the harvest crews arrive. These are not farmers taking side work. Ice harvesting is a skilled profession. Crews consist of sawyers who cut the blocks, pikemen who guide them, loaders who pull them onto sleds, packers who stack them in the ice house. Each man has a specific role. Each role requires techniques learned over seasons. A good sawyer can cut 200 blocks a day. A great sawyer cuts 300 without breaking one. The difference between good and great is the angle of the saw, the rhythm of the stroke, the ability to read the ice and know where the natural lines of stress run. The work starts before dawn. always. Ice is hardest in early morning cold. As the day warms even a few degrees above zero, the surface softens. Saws bind. Blocks crack. Efficiency drops. So the crews work in darkness by lantern light until sun breaks the horizon. First step, clearing the harvest field. Men shovel snow from acres of ice surface. Back-breaking labor. A foot of snow can take 6 men an entire day to clear from a 2-acre field. But it must be done. Snow insulates the ice beneath, preventing it from thickening. Snow on the surface creates rough, uneven blocks. Clear the field. Scrape it smooth. Expose the ice to open air and sub-zero temperatures. Next, marking the field. This is mathematics. Ice blocks are cut to standard dimensions. 22 inches by 22 inches, the depth is whatever the ice gives, usually 14 to 18 inches. A marker tool with metal teeth scores parallel lines across the ice field, creating a grid. Precision matters. Lines must be exact. Spacing perfect. 1 degree of error multiplies across 100 blocks, resulting in irregular sizes that won't stack properly in the ice house. Now the sawyers come forward. The ice saw is a brutal tool. 6 feet long. Teeth like a crosscut saw but larger, coarser, designed to chew through frozen water. A good saw costs $12, 2 weeks' wages. Men care for their saws like soldiers care for rifles. Sharpen the teeth every night. Oil the blade. Check the handle for cracks. A saw failure during harvest means lost work, lost pay. The sawyer kneels on planks laid across the ice. He doesn't kneel directly on the surface. Body heat softens ice. The planks distribute his weight, keep him dry. He positions the saw at the scored line. First cut is the hardest. Breaking through the top inch, the saw bites, throws ice chips. His arms move in steady rhythm. Push, pull, push, pull. The saw sinks deeper. 1 inch, 3 inches, 6 inches. Sawing ice is not like sawing wood. Wood resists, fights back. Ice gives. Then suddenly grabs. The saw binds. The sawyer rocks the blade, widens the cut, keeps moving. Rhythm is everything. Lose the rhythm and your arms burn out in an hour. Maintain it and you can saw for 8 hours straight. At 10 inches deep, the saw breaks through. Water floods the cut. Black water. Lake water, minus 20 degrees air temperature, but the water beneath the ice stays liquid at 32 degrees, just above freezing. It feels warm by comparison. Deceptively warm. Men have lost fingers dipping them in this water thinking it's tolerable. It's not. Frostbite sets in within minutes. The sawyer completes the first cut, moves to the next line. And the next, he cuts a channel. A long trench through the ice field. This channel serves 2 purposes. First, it allows cut blocks to float free from the main sheet. Second, it creates a transportation route. Blocks will be floated down this channel to the collection point. While sawyers cut, pikemen wait. They carry pike poles, 8-foot wooden shafts with steel hooks. When a block is cut free on all 4 sides, it floats in its square hole. Still connected to the main sheet by microscopic bonds. The pikeman hooks the block, pulls. The block breaks free, floats. He guides it down the channel toward the conveyor. The conveyor is the revolution that transformed ice harvesting from artisan craft to industrial operation. Before 1840, men lifted blocks from the water by hand. 4 men per block, 2 on each side. Lifting 250 pounds of wet ice from water to surface, dangerous, exhausting. Limited harvest to perhaps 50 tons per day. Then Nathaniel Wyeth invents the ice plow and the ice elevator. The plow scores the ice field faster than hand markers. The elevator, an endless chain with metal cleats, runs from the water to the loading platform. A pikeman guides a block onto the elevator. The mechanism grabs it, lifts it, delivers it to the platform where loaders wait. One elevator can process 400 blocks per hour. A crew that once harvested 50 tons per day now harvests 500. But the elevator brings new dangers. The chain runs constantly. It doesn't stop. Men work around a moving mechanism that will crush a hand, snap a leg, pull a man into the water if he slips. Accidents happen. Every crew has stories. The sawyer who leaned too close and lost 3 fingers, the pikeman who fell through thin ice and went under before anyone could reach him, the loader who tried to adjust a jammed block and got his arm caught between block and elevator frame. Ice harvesting kills men. Not often, but regularly enough that everyone knows the risks. February 1899. Hudson River, New York. The Knickerbocker Ice Company operates the largest harvest in the state. 32 crews. 1,200 men. They will cut 3 million tons this winter. The company has contracts with New York City hotels, restaurants, hospitals, breweries. The ice must be pure. Hudson River ice has a reputation problem. Industrial runoff from tanneries and factories upstream. So Knickerbocker builds filtration ponds, pumps river water into shallow basins, lets sediment settle, allows the water to freeze clean. The company town of Rockland Lake exists solely for ice. Ice houses line the shore, massive wooden structures, 500 feet long, 200 feet wide, 40 feet tall. Inside, blocks are stacked in precise formations. Between each layer, workers spread sawdust insulation. The blocks pack so tightly, insulated so effectively, that ice cut in January will remain frozen through August, through September. Some blocks last until the following winter. At peak production, Rockland Lake harvests 25,000 tons per week. The crews work 7 days a week during harvest season. No breaks, no holidays. If the ice is thick and the weather holds, you cut. If you stop, competitors take your market share. If you miss the harvest window, you have no product to sell come summer. The pay is $1.75 per day. Good money for 1899. Better than factory work. Better than farming. But the work destroys bodies. Men develop chronic joint pain from kneeling on frozen planks. Frostbite scars their hands and faces. Lung problems from breathing frigid air for hours. The average ice worker's career lasts 12 years. Then their bodies give out. They know this going in. They do it anyway. Because ice is money. Ice is progress. Ice is civilization pushing back against nature's limitations. Before ice, meat spoiled in summer. Beer couldn't be brewed. Fish rotted hours after catch. The wealthy had root cellars. Everyone else made do. Ice changed that. Not immediately, not for everyone. But steadily. The ice trade made refrigeration available first to industry, then to commerce, finally to homes. By 1900, middle-class homes in American cities have iceboxes, oak cabinets with zinc-lined compartments. A 50-pound block fits in the top. Cold air sinks, keeps the lower compartment at 40 degrees. The iceman delivers twice a week. Carries blocks up tenement stairs using tongs and a leather shoulder pad. Slides the block into the cabinet. Collects his fee, 15 cents per delivery. The ice trade employs 90,000 workers. Harvests 15 million tons annually. Operates in every northern state. The industry has its own trade journals, professional associations, labor unions. Ice barons build mansions. Finance political campaigns. Control transportation networks. Then everything changes. The technology exists earlier. 1834. Jacob Perkins patents a vapor compression refrigeration system in London. It works. Produces cold mechanically. No ice required. But it's expensive. Unreliable. Requires constant maintenance. Uses toxic gases, ammonia, sulfur dioxide. Early refrigeration machines are too large for home use, too dangerous for untrained operators, too costly for anyone except industrial operations. Breweries adopt it first. 1870s. Large-scale refrigeration allows year-round production. Precise temperature control. No dependence on winter ice harvest. Chicago meat packing plants follow. Then cold storage warehouses. The machines improve, get smaller, safer, cheaper. Fred Wolf invents the Domel, domestic electric refrigerator, designed for home use. Small enough to fit in a kitchen. Safe enough to operate without training. Expensive, $1,000. More than a Model T Ford, but functional. General Electric sees potential, starts production. Kelvinator follows. Frigidaire enters the market. The ice industry watches. Doesn't panic. Not yet. These machines are novelties. Toys for the rich. Ice is cheap, proven, reliable. The infrastructure exists. The market is established. Mechanical refrigerators will never replace ice. Everyone knows this. Everyone is wrong. 10,000 electric refrigerators sold in America. 1925, 75,000, 1930. 1 million, the numbers accelerate. Prices drop. Technology improves. Refrigerators become standard in new home construction. Apartment buildings install them. Even rural customers, once the electrical grid expands, choose mechanical refrigeration over icebox delivery. The ice harvest begins its collapse. Knickerbocker Ice Company closes its Rockland Lake operation. The ice houses are demolished. The conveyor systems scrapped. The ponds abandoned. 1,200 workers lose their jobs. Some find work in other industries. Many don't. These are specialized workers, sawyers, pikemen, packers, whose skills have no application outside ice harvesting. Other companies follow. The independent harvesters go first. Small operations that supplied local markets. Then the regional firms. Finally, the major corporations. The pattern repeats across the country. Maine, New York, Wisconsin, Minnesota. By 1935, the natural ice industry has shrunk to 15% of its 1900 size. By 1940, it's functionally extinct. A few operations persist: rural areas without electricity, remote hotels, specialized markets that prefer natural ice, but these are remnants, echoes of a dead trade. The men who remain are old, 50s, 60s, too old to retrain, too specialized to transfer skills. They work until the last icehouse closes. Then they retire. Collect small pensions if they're lucky, Social Security if they're not. Their sons don't enter the trade. Why would they? The work is brutal and the industry is dying. Frank Morrison, the supervisor from Moosehead Lake, works his final harvest in 1933. He's 55. His crew is down to 8 men. They cut 400 tons that winter, nothing compared to the 12,000 tons of his prime years. The ice goes to a fish packing plant that still uses traditional methods. The plant closes in 1934. Morrison retires. Lives another 18 years. Dies in 1951. His obituary doesn't mention ice. The knowledge disappears with the generation. How to read ice thickness by sound. How to angle a saw to prevent binding. How to stack blocks for maximum preservation. These are skills that cannot be written down. They must be learned, practiced, perfected over seasons. When the last ice harvesters die, the knowledge dies with them. Some tools survive. Museums collect ice saws, pike poles, tongs, display them with placards explaining their use. But the tools without the technique are just metal and wood. The technique without the context is meaningless. What remains is infrastructure. The ice houses, most were demolished. Some burned. Sawdust insulation is extremely flammable. A few survive, converted to other uses. Warehouses. Equipment storage. In Rockland Lake, one icehouse becomes an antiques mall. In Maine, another houses a boat restoration workshop. The structures stand, but their purpose is forgotten. And the ponds, lakes, rivers, they freeze every winter. As they always have, the ice grows thick, clear, perfect for harvest. But no one cuts it. No one needs it. Natural ice has no value in a world with mechanical refrigeration. The transition from ice harvest to electric refrigeration takes 30 years. One generation. In 1900, ice is essential. In 1930, it's obsolete. The change isn't gradual. It's catastrophic. An entire industry, infrastructure, workforce, capital investment rendered worthless by technological advancement. This is the pattern of progress. One technology replaces another. Jobs disappear. Skills become irrelevant. The people who built the old world watch the new world rise, and they have no place in it. The ice harvesters understood this. They saw the refrigerators coming. They knew what it meant. But what could they do? Refuse to accept reality? Demand that progress stop for their convenience? They did what workers have always done when their trade dies. They worked until they couldn't. Then they moved on. But something is lost. Not just jobs. Not just industry. Something deeper. The ice trade was dangerous, exhausting, brutally hard work. But it was also skilled, precise. It required knowledge accumulated over generations. It demanded respect for natural systems, ice thickness, weather patterns, water temperature. It created communities. Towns that existed solely to harvest and store ice. Crews that worked together season after season, developing rhythms and relationships that extended beyond labor. Mechanical refrigeration is better. Objectively. More efficient. More reliable. More convenient. But it's solitary. Individual. You don't need a crew to operate a refrigerator. You don't need specialized knowledge. You don't need community. You flip a switch. The last commercial ice harvest in America occurs in 1959. Operator unknown. Location uncertain. Some small operation somewhere cutting a final load for some specialized customer who prefers natural ice. No one records the event. No one marks the occasion. The trade simply ends. And then, it's gone.